Hello, welcome to the Motivational Stories podcast. I am your host, Ricky Lahiri, and today's story is called Winston Churchill and We Shall Sail On, a Most Secret Mission. The year was 1940. The Battle of France had fallen silent, a horrifying prelude to a deafening quiet. Nazi Germany stood poised on the English Channel, a mere 20 miles separating them from the shores of Britain. The once proud Royal Air Force, outnumbered and outgunned, bled in the skies above. Panic choked the air, a thick, suffocating fog that threatened to drown the spirit of the nation. Winston Churchill, the newly appointed Prime Minister, stood at the precipice of a nightmare. Sleep was a luxury he no longer afforded himself. The weight of a nation, the very future of democracy, rested heavily on his broad shoulders. In the dead of night, in the solitude of his study, Churchill paced, a caged lion surveying the bars of his imprisonment. A knock on the door startled him. It was Major Walter Bryant, a young intelligence officer with a nervous twitch in his jaw and a file clutched tightly under his arm. "Prime Minister," Bryant stammered, "I apologize for the intrusion, but this couldn't wait." Churchill waved him in with a weary sigh. "What is it, Major?" "We've intercepted a coded German message, sir. It speaks of a weapon." Churchill's eyes narrowed. "A weapon? What kind of weapon?" "We don't know for certain, sir. But they're calling it the Feuerhammer, the Feuerhammer." A shiver ran down Churchill's spine. The Germans were known for their brutality, their technological advancements chilling. A weapon of this caliber could be the final blow, the hammer that would shatter the fragile hope of the island nation. "Where is this weapon?" "According to the message, sir, it's still under development. A research facility on the Norwegian island of Halsnøy." Churchill studied a map spread across his desk, his frown deepening. Halsnøy was a remote, unforgiving island, cloaked in perpetual twilight. A daring raid, a near impossible mission. "What are the chances of a successful operation, Major?" Bryant hesitated. "Slim, sir. Very slim. We'd need a small, elite team, someone who could infiltrate the facility undetected." Churchill's gaze fell on a framed photograph on his desk. It showed a group of young commandos, their faces etched with determination, a glint of steel in their eyes. These were the men he'd helped create, the Special Air Service, the SAS. "Get me Colonel Blair," he said, his voice firming with resolve. Colonel James Blair, a gruff Scotsman with a handlebar mustache and a reputation for unorthodox tactics, arrived within the hour. After a short briefing, his face hardened. "A suicide mission, Prime Minister," he said bluntly. "Perhaps," Churchill acknowledged, his gaze unwavering. "But it's a chance we have to take. If the Feuerhammer falls into the wrong hands," Blair understood the weight of those words. "We'll need the best, sir. And some unorthodox equipment." A secret plan was hatched in the cloak and dagger world of wartime operations. A team of 6 SAS operatives, led by the steely Captain Michael Turner, a man known for his calm under fire and unorthodox fighting methods, was assembled. Among them was Sergeant David Jones, a brilliant linguist with a penchant for explosives, and Corporal William Evans, a towering Welshman with the strength of a bear and the stealth of a shadow. Weeks of intense training followed. They practiced hand-to-hand combat in the dead of night, learned to navigate treacherous terrain, and familiarized themselves with the inner workings of the Halsnøy facility thanks to painstakingly gathered intelligence. Churchill himself, fueled by a relentless determination, took a keen interest in the operation, poring over maps and offering strategic advice. The night of the mission arrived, shrouded in an inky blackness that mirrored the despair gripping the nation. A rickety fishing trawler, its nets weighed down with crates of supplies, bobbed on the choppy waters of the North Sea. Under the cover of darkness, the SAS team boarded a submersible mini-submarine, a top-secret prototype they christened Iron Fish. The journey was fraught with peril. The tiny vessel groaned under the immense pressure of the depths, and the ever-present threat of German patrols lurked like predators in the vast ocean. But finally, after what felt like an eternity, they surfaced near the desolate shores of Halsnøy. The air hung heavy with the smell of salt and something metallic. The island itself was a stark silhouette against the starless night, a monstrous fortress shrouded in secrecy. Following intel, they navigated a maze of snow-covered cliffs and treacherous ice fields, reaching the heavily guarded perimeter of the facility just before dawn. Sergeant Jones, the team's explosives expert, worked his magic on the perimeter fence, a silent symphony of clicks and whirs culminating in a satisfying hiss as the barrier yielded. They moved like ghosts, cloaked in darkness and the knowledge that one wrong step could be their last. The facility loomed before them, a sprawling complex of concrete buildings, its windows glowing with an eerie, artificial light. Captain Turner, ever the strategist, gave a hand signal. Evans, the team's muscle, took point, his hulking form a reassuring presence at the front. Their infiltration point was a ventilation shaft, a narrow metal maw leading into the belly of the beast. The stale air inside was thick with the smell of ozone and a metallic tang. They squeezed through the cramped space, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Inside, the facility was a labyrinth of sterile corridors and humming machinery. Scientists in white lab coats hurried past, their faces etched with a mixture of urgency and fear. The rhythmic clang of metal on metal echoed from somewhere deep within the complex. Following the noise, they found themselves in a vast chamber. In its center stood a monstrosity, a colossal device that pulsed with an ominous red glow. Cables snaked from its metallic heart, feeding it with unseen power. It was the Feuerhammer, a colossal cannon that gleamed with a malevolent promise of destruction. A tense silence filled the air. David Jones crouched near the machine, his nimble fingers tracing the complex wiring. "It's a sonic weapon, sir," he whispered, his voice tight. Capable of creating localized earthquakes, enough to level a city. The weight of their mission settled upon them like a lead blanket. They couldn't simply destroy the weapon. Its destruction could trigger an explosion, alerting the entire facility. A new plan, desperate and daring, hatched within Captain Turner's mind. With practiced efficiency, the team set about their task. Jones expertly rerouted the weapon's power source, while Evans wrestled with a heavy metal crate labeled prototypes. Turner, meanwhile, slipped past a group of guards, his fluency in German allowing him to impersonate a visiting scientist. The plan unfolded with a breathtaking pace. Turner managed to gain access to a secure communications center, while Jones and Evans wrestled with the prototype device, a handheld version of the Feuerhammer. Just as Turner managed to establish a connection with London, a shout alerted the guards to the intruders. A desperate firefight erupted. The sterile white corridors echoed with the thunderous crack of gunfire. Evans, wielding his weapon with surprising agility, laid down a hail of bullets, covering their retreat. Jones, clutching the prototype Feuerhammer like a holy grail, sprinted towards the extraction point. Turner, his face bloodied but his voice resolute, spoke into the transmitter. "Prime Minister, we have a sample of the weapon, but the facility is alerted. We need immediate extraction." On the other end, Churchill listened with bated breath. His mind raced. He knew they couldn't afford to lose these men, nor could they allow the Feuerhammer to remain operational. A decision had to be made. Turner, his voice crackled over the line, filled with a quiet steeliness, "Get to the rendezvous point. We'll cover your escape." Confusion flickered across Turner's face. "Sir, what are you?" The line went dead. In the control room, Churchill placed the transmitter down. He knew what had to be done. With a grim determination, he issued a single, chilling order. Operation Thunderclap. Initiate. Halsnoy Island erupted in a blinding flash. A massive bomber squadron, a secret weapon held in reserve for this very moment, unleashed a torrent of bombs. The facility, the Feuerhammer, and the secrets it held, were consumed by a fiery inferno. Back on the trawler, miles away, the SAS team watched the inferno paint the night sky with an orange glow. A bittersweet silence filled the air. They had achieved their objective, but at a terrible cost. Looking towards the horizon, Turner knew this victory came at the price of countless lives, a sacrifice known only to a handful of men. As dawn broke, casting a pale light on the ravaged island, they knew their mission was far from over. The prototype Feuerhammer, nestled safely within the trawler, held the key to understanding and ultimately dismantling the Nazis' weapon of mass destruction. The fight was far from over, but they had dealt a blow, a desperate gamble that may very well tip the scales in favor of freedom. News of the mission, as successful as it was devastating, remained shrouded in secrecy. The public only knew of an accidental fire at a German research facility. But within the halls of power, Churchill knew the true story. He knew the courage, the sacrifice, of men who risked everything for a nation on the brink. In the days that followed, the prototype Feuerhammer became the object of intense scrutiny by British scientists. Jones, his expertise invaluable, played a pivotal role in deciphering the weapon's technology. Weeks turned into months, filled with sleepless nights and relentless work. Finally, a breakthrough. They understood the weapon's inner workings, its vulnerabilities. The knowledge gleaned from Halsnoy proved to be a turning point. It allowed the Allies to develop countermeasures, sonic dampeners that could mitigate the Feuerhammer's destructive power. The weapon, once a terrifying specter, became a manageable threat, a testament to the bravery of the men who dared to steal into the heart of darkness. News of the Feuerhammer, albeit heavily redacted, eventually leaked. The public, for the first time, understood the true nature of the threat they had faced. It instilled in them a renewed sense of purpose, a fierce determination to resist the Nazi menace. Churchill, in one of his famous wartime speeches, alluded to the mission without revealing its specifics. He spoke of shadows and whispers, of a battle fought on unseen fronts. He called it a victory snatched from the jaws of defeat, a testament to the unwavering spirit of the British people. The story of the Halsnoy raid became a legend whispered amongst the ranks of the SAS, a tale of courage and sacrifice that served as an inspiration for generations to come. Captain Turner, Sergeant Jones, and Corporal Evans, along with their fallen comrades, became silent heroes, their names forever etched in the annals of wartime bravery. The war raged on for another 5 long years, a brutal struggle that tested the very fabric of civilization. But in the end, the forces of freedom prevailed. And when the dust settled, when the guns finally fell silent, the world knew that victory had come not just from grand battles and public displays of valor, but also from the quiet heroism of men who dared to venture into the darkness, to steal a weapon from the grasp of tyranny, and in doing so, help light the path to a brighter future. Thank you for listening. If you like the stories I tell, please follow the podcast and subscribe to it to get the latest notifications about the release of episodes. You can also follow me on X, previously known as Twitter, to get the latest notifications regarding episodes. I have provided a link to my X profile in the description section of the episode and the podcast.